Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Trumbore with your nightly review for Monday, June 10th. It's 4:02 p.m. Eastern Time. Standard & Poor's raised its outlook on the U.S. credit rating to stable from negative, saying, quote, "We believe the U.S. economic performance will match or exceed its peers in the coming years," and the market responded by flatlining, with the Dow Jones down about 10 points to 15,237, NASDAQ up 4, and the S&P essentially flat. Gold at $13.84, oil 95.70, and the 10-year Treasury at 2.21%. Shares in Apple, emblematic of the dull, gloomy day, fell $3. Despite the fact they were holding their developer conference, it was a big whoop-de-damn-do as they introduced internet radio. But back to the credit rating issue, Moody's and Fitch ratings have continued their AAA rating for the U.S. and again S&P goes to stable, but it's still at AA+. But these things just don't matter that much anymore. It was back on August 5th of 2011 that S&P removed their AAA on the U.S. In Tokyo, the Nikkei index finished up 4.9%. 636 points to 13,514. The volatility continues there. The government revised upward its estimates of first quarter growth to 1%, 4.1% on an annualized basis, better than the initial estimate of 3.5%. Good news for Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and his three-arrow strategy of economic revitalization. First, the $105 billion stimulus package in January. Second, the new monetary policy through the Bank of Japan. And third, a longer-term growth strategy, supposedly details of which will finally be unveiled on Friday. In China, the news was not so good. Exports for May rose 1% year over year. Imports fell 0.3% in April. Exports had been up 14.7% year over year, but that was inflated, and Chinese regulators are finally cutting down on the false invoicing that has led to these sky-high export figures. So that's good. It's good and bad. Exports to the U.S. and European Union were down 1.6% and 9.7% respectively in May. Industrial production in May rose 9.2% from a year earlier. It was 9.3% in April and the weakest since September. Fixed asset investment slowed to 20.4% for the first 5 months of the year, weakest since August of last year. And then you had consumer prices, the CPI in China for May up just 2.1% year over year. It had been up 2.44% in April. Veggie prices, food prices are huge in China, of course. Veggie prices fell 13.8% in May over April. But here to me was the big news. Producer prices fell 2.9% after falling 2.6% in April and 1.9% in March. So deflation is taking hold in China. Louis Kia, a economist in the Hong Kong office of Royal Bank of Scotland, said that the price statistics, both CPI and PPI, reflect a mix of weak global prices for raw materials and sluggish worldwide demand for Chinese exports, and raise questions about the strength of Chinese domestic demand. On to the Xi-Obama summit. President Xi said he and Obama believe the two countries can approach each other in a way that is different from the inevitable confrontation and conflict. Xi said the China-U.S. relationship was at a new starting point. Our two countries have vast convergence of shared interest, from promoting our respective economic growth at home to ensuring the stability of the global economy, from addressing international and regional hotspot issues to dealing with all kinds of global challenges. Xi sought to allay U.S. concerns that his talk of national rejuvenation implied that China seeks to displace the U.S. as the dominant military power in Asia. I stated very clearly to President Obama that China will be firmly committed to the path of peaceful development, Xi said. By the Chinese dream, we seek to have economic prosperity, national renewal, and people's well-being. It is connected to the American dream and the beautiful dreams people in other countries may have. Xi had much at stake, bringing with him a proposal to redefine the relationship as one of equal great powers, which is part of his personal initiative that is part of the broader campaign to promote a Chinese dream. Obama endorsed the goal of seeking ways to avoid conflict, but stopped short of echoing Xi's great power formulation, saying instead that he hoped for more extended and informal talks leading to a new model of cooperation. Obama said, "We've got a lot of work to do to take these broad understandings down to the level of specifics, and that will require further discussions not only today and tomorrow, but for weeks, months to come." On cyberspace, Obama said it was critical that the U.S. and China reach a firm understanding on cyber issues, but he stopped short of accusing China of orchestrating hacking attacks on American government and business computers. Xi claimed no responsibility for China's alleged actions. He said his nation was also a victim of cyber spying, but did not assign any blame. Of course, the discussion on cyberspace was juxtaposed with new revelations that the Obama administration is collecting data from phone and internet companies. Obama said, "What both President Xi and I recognize is that because of these incredible advances in technology, that the issue of cybersecurity and the need for rules and common approaches to cybersecurity are going to be increasingly important as part of bilateral relationships and multilateral relationships. In some ways, these are uncharted waters, and you don't have the kinds of protocols that cover military issues, for example, and arms issues where nations have a lot of experiencing in trying to negotiate what's acceptable and what's not." Xi remarked that in the days before the summit, he had noticed a sharp increase in media coverage of cybersecurity issues. He said, "This might give people the sense or feeling that cybersecurity as a threat mainly comes from China, or that the issue of cybersecurity is the biggest problem in the U.S.-China relationship. The application of new technology is a double-edged sword," said Xi. On the one hand, it will drive progress. On the other hand, it might create some problems for regulators, and it might infringe upon the rights of states, enterprises, societies, and individuals. Curious statement by President Xi. Obama's National Security Advisor Tom Donilon said afterwards that resolving cybersecurity issues would be key to the future of the relationship. Obama told Xi that if it's not addressed, if it continues to be this direct theft of United States property, that this was going to be very difficult as far as the economic relationship, and was going to be an inhibitor to the relationship really reaching its full potential. In their own recap of the meetings, Chinese officials said Xi opposed all forms of cyber spying but claimed no responsibility. Cybersecurity should not become the root cause of mutual suspicion and frictions between our two countries. Rather, it should be a new bright spot in our cooperation, said Yang Jieqi, Xi's senior foreign policy advisor. Yang said the two leaders blazed a new trail away from the two nations' past differences and talked about cooperation and did not shy away from differences. At least the discussions on North Korea proved promising, according to Tom Donnellan, with the leaders agreeing that North Korea has to be denuclearized and that neither country will accept the North as a nuclear-armed state. North Korea is estimated to have a handful of crude devices, of course. While China is Pyongyang's closest, strongest ally and economic benefactor, Xi has signaled a growing impatience with North Korea's unpredictable and provocative nuclear threats. Donnellan said, China has taken a number of steps in recent months to send a clear message to North Korea, including through enhanced enforcement of sanctions and through public statements by the senior leadership in China. In an agreement between Obama and President Xi, the two agreed to wind down the production and consumption of hydrofluorocarbons, HFCs, and this is significant. HFCs currently account for only 2% of greenhouse gases. These, of course, are what are used in refrigerators and air conditioners. A global push to get rid of HFCs could potentially reduce the greenhouse gases by the equivalent of about 2 years' worth of current global greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. Left unabated, and of course HFCs are still being used in the developing world as they adopt air conditioning, like in India, HFC emissions could grow to nearly 20% from 2% of carbon dioxide emissions by 2050. So at least there might have been some agreement on that. But despite all the preceding, what was really accomplished at the summit? Maybe we'll learn in a few weeks that something good came about as far as North Korea, but otherwise, nothing. Nothing on cyber security, that's for sure. So the same game will continue. Barbara Demick of the Los Angeles Times had a piece titled, China's Xi Jinping appears more Maoist than reformer so far. In part, she writes, during his first months in power, Xi has proved himself more hardline on a number of issues than his recent predecessors. He has tightened censorship in academia and the media and spearheaded China's territorial assertions in the South China and East China Seas. His first trip upon descending to the presidency was to Russia. Many analysts still believe that Xi, leader of the Communist Party for 7 months and president for fewer than 100 days, is at heart a reformer, and they predict that side of him will emerge after he is established in office. But so far, the reformist element of the Communist Party is bitterly disappointed. Said Willie Lam, a political analyst based in Hong Kong, Xi Jinping is very good at public relations, much better than Hu Jintao, who acted like a robot. But ideologically, he is really a Maoist who wants to maintain tight control over the party and the military and to put a freeze on Western values. So on that cheery note, I'm going to be back with you on Wednesday. Take care.